Well, the importance of organ donation comes into focus every year during April, which is Donate Life Month. Here to tell us about the power and impact of organ donation is Jessica Scheidler Grossberg, Public Education Coordinator at LifeQuest Organ Recovery Services. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning.
Also, we're joined by Michele Callahan, who is an organ recipient of a heart transplant. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
So nice to have you. Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about how you got to this point? You are now, I think, a 5-year
5
recipient.
years, yes.
Congratulations, first of
Thank
all.
you. Thank
What
you.
led up to the point of you needing a heart transplant?
So in 2014, I think, I thought I was a perfectly healthy person. I was not a smoker, not a heavy drinker, was not overweight, and had a heart attack. And 3 weeks later, I had another heart attack. And then I went into heart failure, which is where your heart is not pumping enough oxygenated blood to your organs, and you start to go into organ failure. And at the time we lived in the Atlanta area, I went to many specialists. No one could figure out why I was so sick. My arteries were perfectly healthy. And normally, when you have heart issues, you have a blockage, they put in a stent and that type of thing. So my husband and I moved to Jacksonville where I could get in at Mayo Clinic, and they diagnosed me with something called lymphocytic myocarditis. It's a very rare autoimmune disease where my immune system was attacking my heart.
Mhm.
And I was evaluated for a heart transplant, put on the list, and 3 months later I received my heart transplant.
And so that because it's an autoimmune disorder, it was not the kind of thing that necessarily was a curable thing. They
That's
really
right.
needed to replace the organ itself.
That's right. So I have a new heart, which is great. I still have an autoimmune disease, and so I take a lot of medications to keep my immune system from attacking my new heart.
Wow. It's quite a story, and I imagine it was an enormous surgery to undergo. Can you talk about how you prepared for that? I mean, 3 months seems like a short runway for an organ transplant. In some cases, they do take years.
Sometimes it does take a long time. I was very fortunate. So organ donation is goes by blood type and body size, and I was fortunate. I have A type blood and am a smaller person, and it only took 3 months for them to find the match for my heart.
Right. It is a, extraordinary process, organ donation, Jessica. It is, remarkable the things that can be accomplished by medical science. Um, but there are a lot of people that aren't as fortunate. There is a, waiting list of more than 100,000 people in this
Yeah.
country right now.
Yeah, and to put 100,000 into a picture to because that's just a big number. The Jaguar Stadium here in Jacksonville holds 67,000. It's sold out every seat. So think it's a stadium and a half worth of sick people like Michelle that are in need of a transplant. Here in Florida, about 5,000 people are in need of a transplant.
And not, everybody survives that wait.
Right.
Yeah.
And so about 20 people die every day waiting for someone to say yes, hoping to have that match.
Just in this country.
Yes.
And so, what is it that is what's the most common needed organ? What's the most common to be, to be part of the donation process?
Yeah. So about 85% of transplants needed are kidneys. Medicine causes kidney failure. There's lifestyle choices that cause that kidney failure. All sorts of different factors along with genetic pieces of it. And so we really are looking at kidneys, but all 8 of those organs are needed.
And so kidneys are something that people can donate, and as a living person,
Correct.
most organs, that's not the case.
Yes.
And so do people have to be a part of the donor registry if they wanna donate their organs upon their death? Or how does that work if they have not registered, like, for instance, when they get their driver's license?
Right. So if you want to be an organ donor, there's a couple places you can go. So you can go to the tax collector's office, the DMV. There you can register, but you can also go online, register there on your health app on your phone. With living donation, it's a little bit different. If you want to give to your parent, your friend, whomever, you go to your doctor and they're able to test you, figure out if you are healthy enough to give away one of those kidneys, and figure out if you can be a match. The other organ you can donate while you're still alive is your liver. Your liver is the only organ that we can cut pieces of, and it will regenerate fully to cover all the way back.
So what concerns do you hear from people if they're reluctant to be organ donors? Like what prevents someone from signing up for that registry?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest one that I hear is that people are nervous that doctors and nurses won't save them in the hospital. And that's not the case. Medical professionals, they're going to do everything in their power to save your life. We always think like, well, wouldn't they see it on my driver's license? You know, if you say yes to organ donation, there's that heart there on your ID. Well, two reasons why that doesn't actually work. Your driver's license isn't a reliable source of information when it comes to this topic. One is because we live in a digital world. You can register on your phone. You can register on your health app. I'm not going to go to the tax collector's office and go and get a new ID. So that's one of the reasons you can say yes, say no, and you don't change that license.
Meaning
The-
it doesn't necessarily show that heart on there if you
Correct.
register. Mhm.
In the state of Florida and a lot of states in the country, you can actually register saying, I would love to be an organ donor. Please don't put that heart on my ID. And more people are choosing that as well.
So, Michelle, what has changed for you since your transplant? I mean, aside from just the enormity of the surgery, which I
Mm.
imagine took some significant recovery, um, how has it changed things for you in those years? The years after your diagnosis,
Mhm.
you weren't feeling great. You were hospitalized a lot.
I was hospitalized 9 times the year before my transplant, sometimes for a few days, sometimes a few weeks. Now I'm able to go hiking in the mountains, with my husband, and I have, a granddaughter that I'm able to spend time with that was born after my transplant, so I may not have ever met her had I not had that transplant. Um, I did not go back to work after my transplant, so I volunteer with Donate Life with LifeQuest here in Florida and speak at schools to kids who are getting their driver's license about the importance of organ donation. And then other days I go to Mayo and visit with patients who are there waiting on heart transplants to kind of encourage them that it's going to get so much better after I feel 20 years younger
Mhm.
with my new heart.
There's always a couple questions people have curiosity about, and one is kind of to what extent you know anything about the donor.
Hmm.
And I think the other is just sort of like whether you feel any different, having taken this other person's organ into your body.
Yeah. So um, as far as feeling different, I feel that I'm different. People who know me may not see that, but I feel like I just have so much more compassion, um, and my mission is clear to me in what I'm supposed to be here for, and that is to educate people about organ donation. Before my transplant, I was busy. I had a great job. I traveled. I did all these things, but I didn't really know what my mission was in life, what I wanted. And so this has definitely clarified that for me. And then as far as knowing about my donor, so for Mayo patients, we have to wait 6 months before we write a letter to our donor family. And it's been 5 years since my transplant. I've written 10 times. I have not heard back from them yet, but I do write every 6 months and tell them how grateful I am that they made the choice of organ donation for their loved one. I do know that my donor was a younger female who died of a drug overdose. And so I try to keep in mind that that had to be very hard for those parents and that they may just not be ready to have a conversation with me yet. But I would love to do that. I would love to meet them and know more about her.
It's a difficult thing, Jessica. Obviously, the recipient of an organ is celebrating life, but it is contingent on somebody, who has died. And do you help patients negotiate, kind of handle that relationship, whether or not somebody, might be comfortable talking about their loved one who provided this life-saving gift?
Yeah, absolutely. So at LifeQuest, we have staff and they are there to just help the family that just lost their loved one, giving them those conversations to help them through the grieving process, but then also to bring them together as a community to meet other people that are going through similar things. This is so hard, but a lot of times it is so uplifting to know that the last thing their loved one did was to save somebody else's life. So we coordinate that and those letters. So when the donor family writes a letter, it comes to us. So then we can give it to a recipient, and then the recipient gives it to us to then give to them.
And just briefly, because we are going to have to wrap it up shortly, how important is it for people if they've made the decision to be an organ donor to communicate that to their family, to their loved ones?
Yeah, it is such a huge point of conversation. I always say it only takes 15 seconds to save somebody's life through this conversation. And it doesn't need to be this formal sit down dinner type of thing. Instead, just ask, send a text message to your family like, "Hey, I just want to let you know these are my wishes. What are yours?" So then the whole family has an idea. If you are under the age of 18, parents, guardians, they make that final decision. So really talking to that new driver, family member, but then also so then your family knows if something ever happened to you, what those wishes are.
And Michelle, obviously, you're healthy and doing well. So, do you have any specific advice for people who might be thinking one way or the other about donation?
I look at my donor as a hero. And, I say to young students when I'm talking to them that you can be a hero in someone's life by being an organ donor. And it's something that not many people get the privilege of doing.
Yeah.
So few people can actually die in the situation where they can donate their organs. So why not sign up and possibly be a hero?
Yeah, and I saw that there was a 90-something-year-old that recently 98-year-old donated their liver, so it's not like an
Yeah,
age thing, so
there's no age limit. So
yeah.
oldest donor in the world was 107, donated their corneas. So they're any age, newborn babies can be donors, be recipients. So
Jessica Scheidler Grossberg and Michelle Callahan, thanks so much for being here, really appreciate it.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, coming up